Sterling falling against many of its major peers today. Prime Minister Theresa May says the country is more likely to pursue an exit from the EU that prioritises immigration controls over single market membership. On the currency front, Bloomberg News spoke to luxury yacht maker Sunseeker, who said sales have actually benefited from the short-term decline.
Brexit's a complex situation. It's going to take a long time. We did get some benefit from the devaluation of the pound short term. There's no doubt that we transacted some business early after the referendum.
Let's get more. Brexit editor Simon Kennedy. Now, we in the media, Simon, we like to deal in hard and soft. No, not the Prime Minister. She doesn't use those terms, does he? Hence, maybe a bit of confusion over the last 24 hours.
I think it's acceptable to have that confusion. In the absence of a plan, in a vacuum, the media, and most importantly here, perhaps, the markets will fill that vacuum with analysis. And the markets do work in a kind of binary kind of way. It's hard Brexit or it's soft Brexit, and any signal to each one tends to move the pound. And the feeling yesterday was, while she's probably said it in the past, that she was leaning towards a hard Brexit. Today she comes out and says, well, I don't like these terms. But perhaps it's not for her to define what terms the market swings on. And certainly if you're talking about immigration and you're talking about lawmaking and saying those are the real priority issues, that is putting trade to the side and kind of almost hoping that the EU will do a trade deal, and that's not what the market wanted today.
She can move the pound, can't she? And this chart wonderfully illustrates that, doesn't it? When she took power, sterling rises. These are percentage moves, and the conference speech, of course, in the autumn sent the pound down, and her first interview of the new year sent sterling down. The pound is a political currency right now. It's not trading on macroeconomics, is it? It's trading on fear, essentially.
Yeah, this is the work of David Goodman, and he and his team did some strong work last week in pointing out that the pound barely moved when there was some really good economic data. It's waiting to discover more about Brexit, and when it thinks it did, as with that Sky News interview yesterday, it falls. And the sell on May bet that perhaps some of the traders are signing up to when she speaks, it's tended to go down, certainly in these big set-piece events, the first New Year interview, the Conservative Party conference last October.
And she says she's going to release specific details of the Brexit plan in the coming weeks. Do we know where that plan is getting formulated? I know at least one think tank, according to your Brexit bulletin today, has given her an option.
The plan is definitely coming together in Downing Street. Obviously, she has a series of advisors and ministers. Boris Johnson, the Foreign Secretary, David Davis, the Secretary for Brexit, Liam Fox, the Trade Secretary. But very much this is a plan that's being pulled together in Downing Street. And how specific she'll be, we'll have to discover. She's been very keen on arguing that the negotiation stance must be kept somewhat private to avoid giving an upper hand to those she'll have to engage with. But she has committed to a plan, and hopefully in the next few weeks we'll start to see some kind of outlines ready. How much she shades it in, that remains to be seen.
And then you also mentioned Boris Johnson there. We know he's in town in New York City to meet with the President-elect, and Theresa May will be meeting with him in the spring. Has this anything to do with a trade deal, or is this just diplomatic relations?
It's very much diplomatic relations, but I think what Boris Johnson would love, whether he'll get it is another thing, what he'd love to get is kind of a reversal of Barack Obama's warning that Britain would be the back of a queue for a trade deal. You remember he said that in the campaign. Donald Trump on the campaign trail questioned that and ridiculed it. He's since not talked himself about it, so perhaps now he's president-elect. Some kind of sign that the UK would be able to get a trade deal and early on with the US would be very much welcomed by the Foreign Secretary, by the Prime Minister. Whether he can achieve that, another thing.
When's May in town? I mean, it's a couple of weeks, some are thinking, after the inauguration. In the spring.
They're talking
we
about
don't have
spring,
a date, do we?
No
But
date,
it'll be soon, won't it?
Yeah, I think the plan is for the spring, and obviously it's on Twitter, so it must be true.